people still want a vacation. They don't want a vacation anymore in a hotel room. They don't want a vacation in like maybe a 2-bedroom condo anymore. They're now vacationing with their extended family. They're bringing their parents, their cousins, they're traveling for longer. So what they're looking for on their second home or vacation properties are larger properties. So this is a permanent trend.
Welcome to everyone to this space we have created to talk about the real estate market in the Riviera Maya. I'm your host, Maria Andreina Seidel. Nice to having you here. Today's guest is a super special one. I like to call him a dear friend, and it's like a superstar of what is all about marketing and real estate around the world. He's a digital marketing pioneer and a world-renowned authority in the digital business strategy. He has topics like including innovation, trends, sales, marketing, social media, co-living, residential lifestyle, and now his latest baby is a fractional ownership. He's an author of 2 books, the $1 million minute, and it's not the market, it's the marketing. So he produced also a national weekly television program called The Condo Show, and his program of social living in Canada is focused on the residential property. And now he's working on his late project called Casaco Group Properties, which allows families to own second homes with the fractional program in Costa Rica and Mexico. So welcome, Roman. Thank you very much for being here. I have a few questions. So I'm curious, what is that caught your attention in the market here in Mexico?
I would say the real estate prices in North America have gotten out of control because of the pandemic. Literally, second homes, vacation homes went up 50%. So the pricing just went completely, it was already expensive, but it went crazy. And now new construction costs because of, again, back to pandemic and now with inflation. So it's become insanely expensive from a second home, vacation home place. So it's really priced a lot of people out of the market. And that's why a lot of people are going to places like Mexico or Costa Rica or other places. Number 2, during the pandemic, we found out which countries took our freedoms away. And countries like Canada and countries in certain states in America basically took people's freedoms away. And I think right now, more than ever, people are looking for something that's more, looking for a place that doesn't take your freedoms away. So for example, I live in Canada, and I still, even though, the pandemic should be over now, I still live in a country that unless you've got all these vaccines, you can't get on a bus, a train, you can't even leave the country. I mean, so there's a lot of people that are reevaluating their life and saying, I don't want to live in a country anymore that is A, unaffordable, and B, that they stripped our human rights and our freedoms away from us. So I think Mexico, it becomes very favorable because it's much more affordable. Cost of living is much more affordable. Property taxes are much more affordable. Building costs are more affordable. So from affordability, like hands down, okay? Secondly, every country dealt with the pandemic differently, but I think Mexico did an incredible job, and it didn't strip everyone of their human rights and their freedoms. So I think that's why you have so many Canadians and Americans and other people around the world coming to Mexico.
What do you think about the fractional here in Mexico? How do you see this next trend coming up?
What I do see, Maria, is because all the world markets pumped trillions and trillions of dollars into the system, we've created this crazy inflation, like the highest inflation in history. We've never seen something like this. So obviously it was this crazy, 2.5-year period where the governments are printing money like crazy, and it made the stock market boom. And then we made real estate, made everything, used cars or selling for the prices of new cars. Like nothing made sense. The challenge is that is correcting now. So you can't have inflation at 50-year highs. So now governments are pulling back. And what they start doing is raising interest rates. And this is the number one key to everything when you talk about investment or real estate. So what I believe is going to happen is real estate prices will fall. And we're just going to go back to where we were before the pandemic. So a lot of people are going to be concerned. Well, do I buy a second home now? Is now the right time? Should I buy it, when interest rates are rising and prices are going down? So our belief is people still want a vacation. They don't want a vacation anymore in a hotel room. They don't want a vacation in like maybe a 2-bedroom condo anymore. They're now vacationing with their extended family. They're bringing their parents, their cousins, their nieces, nephews, babysitters. They're traveling in larger groups and they're traveling for longer. So what they're looking for on their second home or vacation properties are larger properties. So this is a permanent trend. The second trend we're seeing is because of this flexible work thing that we have that, in Canada, for example, we're going to have these 4-day work weeks. They're going to legislate like you can only work 4 days a week. So when you start having more people can work from anywhere and they have much more freedom to work wherever they want, these second homes become more important. So again, our belief is people are looking for larger places. And we believe that even in a declining market, they're still going to want these, the demand is still going to be there. So the reason we believe fractional makes sense is most people that have a second home, and this is over 25 years of data. This isn't just pandemic data. This is 25 years of data. We know most people have second homes. They don't use it more than 10% of the time. Yeah. So right now in the old model, you'd have to buy something, you pay 100% of the costs, 100% of the maintenance, and it's hard to maintain vacation properties. It's hard.
Especially in the tropics. It's really,
it's even more difficult because, not just the pool or the hot tub and bugs and like all these things you've got to deal with, and you can't just like leave it. You can't just leave a property alone. Like somebody has to be there weekly, sometimes multiple times per week. Mm-hmm. So I believe that fractional real estate makes a lot of sense so people can buy what they're going to use. So for example, if I really believe I'm going to spend half of my time in Mexico, then maybe I should find a partner or someone to buy half a property with. And that's hard to do, but I mean, think about that, would make sense. Or if I'm going to spend a quarter of my time, maybe I could find, 4 people or I could be the fourth person and I could, own 25%. So basically buying what you're going to use. So it's easy to talk about, but it's hard to execute. So we believe our company called Casico can solve that. Number one, we can manage those properties professionally. We've been doing this for a long time, and we can help put those owners together. So we really feel that this is a huge shift in the way we looked at real estate. And again, in the old model, you bought real estate, it's going to go up forever. So maybe you wanted to own it. But what happens when real estate markets change, when cycles change, it's a long time. Yesterday, I had a conversation with my parents. When they bought at the peak of one cycle, it took 13 years to get their home back to the old value. It happened to me in the US, properties that I bought in the peak of the market. It took 15 years to get back. Like these cycles are long. Mm-hmm. So, again, in the last 10 or 15 years, everybody wanted to own 100% and it was just going to go up and up and up, but it's changed now and we're in a new cycle. But people still want second homes. They still want a vacation. They still want all those wonderful things. So I honestly believe that fractional real estate, it's the best way to do it. You've got to think about this. There's 110 million second homes, vacation homes between North America and Europe. 110 million homes. There's a lot of homes. And they're being used less than 10% of the time. So think about the environmental impact you have on a home that, whether it's being heated or cooled, or it sits vacant 10 months a year. This is crazy. Yeah, it's also not good for the economy.
You need to take out all the forest and everything to build a house that nobody uses then.
That's, again, sits vacant 10 months a year. And then from an economic perspective, it's not good for those local communities. So whether it's a ski destination or beach destination, it's great in ski season, all the vendors and everyone in that community does well, but then the other 10 months, like it's dead or vice versa. So the way we've created our model, it has a 90% usage. So 90% of the time, the home is being used versus the opposite, where it's only being used 10%. So we think economically it makes more sense. So now somebody with a few $100,000 can afford to be living and owning a multi-million-dollar property. I mean, it's kind of exciting. So I think that this is the future. We're seeing it's taken off in the US. There's a company in the US, this quarter, they did over $300 million in fractional real estate, which is huge. So I really believe the time has come for fractional. This is not timeshare. We're not like renting. This is not about like a hotel room in a resort. This is very different. These are, private homes, luxury homes. And what we assemble are either 2 owners, 4 owners, or 8 owners that own that one property. And we do it in a corporation. So it's real deeded real estate, real asset ownership. But we're just sharing it. And it just makes more sense for people. So that's why I believe is the future.
Can you briefly explain a little bit what's the difference between the timeshare and the fractional?
Every timeshare that you've ever heard of is almost always a 1 or 2 bedroom condominium, or apartment. And it's virtually always in a resort complex. So it's usually a hotel brand. For example, it could be a timeshare, it could be a Marriott, it could be a Hilton, it could be even a Ritz-Carlton. But the difference in a timeshare is you don't actually own the real estate. You're buying time. So you might be buying that 1 week per year in that particular unit. So there's no underlying asset. And if that resort went out of business, like your asset is worth nothing. If the hotel went out of business. So the other issue you have is, let's pretend it only had 100 units. Well, actually, most hotels have at least 100 rooms, but it's usually bigger. But let's pretend 100. If it was timeshare and they're selling by weeks, now all of a sudden you have 1,200 owners. Well, the reason that timeshare doesn't go up in value is A, you don't own any underlying real estate, and there's no scarcity. When you have 1,200 owners and one person gets in a divorce, so they have a financial problem, they try to sell it, cheaply, it affects everybody. Exactly. Ours is very different. Individual homes are special. They're usually pretty unique. So this is not, again, it's not a condominium. It's very different. It's a private home, and they're usually beautiful. They have pools and hot tubs and all the amenities you'd have at a resort, but in a private home. So they're very different. Number 2, we will never have more than 2, 4, 8 owners for a home. So we're not going to have, 52 owners of one particular home. So there's some scarcity. And again, these homes are different. They're unique. So, and because you actually own real estate, you actually own either 12.5% of that piece of real estate, or 25% or 50%. You actually own real estate. And as a foreigner buying in Mexico, you have to buy through a corporation anyway. So I mean, this is how you have got to do as a foreigner. So it really makes sense. So again, this is why we're so confident this model is going to be so successful in Mexico.
Your advice for foreigners that wants to come to Mexico and purchase either fractional or a property?
Move to Mexico and it's your permanent home. Fractional is not for you. I would say even if you're a snowbird, even if you're going to be there like 6 months a year, fractional might not be for you. Okay. Fractional is for somebody that can only spend, 6 weeks or 12 weeks or maybe up to 24 weeks a year in Mexico. It's perfect for you. It's the best solution. So again, it's not for everybody. If you're moving to Mexico or you're going to be there again 6 months a year, it's probably not the best alternative. But again, the majority of people can only take off 6 weeks or 12 weeks or up to 24 weeks. I mean, unless you're retired, it's pretty hard to get away, more than 24 weeks a year. In that case, I'm 100% convinced fractional is the best. Operating properties outside of your home is really hard. I mean, maintaining our homes is hard. It's a lot of work in our own homes. But trying to do it in a foreign country, thousands of miles away or hours away, or if it's a second language. And I mean, it's really difficult. So having a professional property management team that you can trust is really important. I mean, you've got to remember these second homes, people put their valuable possessions in them, but all of a sudden you have all these. And I have friends that have beautiful vacation homes, and all of a sudden they tell me, yeah, I was here, and then all of a sudden this one missing, and they have no idea who took it. There's so many people in and out of the house. So these are all the reality of owning a second home. It's very glamorous and beautiful, but there's a day-to-day challenge with it. So I think when you can only pay 1/8 of the operating costs or 1/4 of the operating costs and have a professional firm to deal with that and takes all the headaches away, that's the best scenario. Because look, you're not buying a second home. You don't want a second job. Like people think, oh, I'm going to rent it on Airbnb. Well, that's great. And we do a lot of Airbnbs around the world, but it's a second job. So all of a sudden, like you're communicating every day with people, you're coordinating all these things, like it's a second job. So it's great to have that income. But if you think about your life and can you really afford to do that? Most people don't have the time, the patience, the energy for that. And the other problem is in a lot of jurisdictions, and again, I can't speak to Tulum, or I don't know about, Cancun or the Mayan Riviera as well as you do, but in a lot of areas around the world, they're starting to change the rules on Airbnb. For example, in most second home areas, you cannot do an Airbnb rental less than 30 days. The reason they do that is A, it protects the hotels, but really what it does is if you have this really nice vacation home, you don't want to have all these strangers partying, all these renters coming every weekend next door and, making noise or making a mess. So, you get upset about it and then you call your politician and they change the rule. Once they change that rule, which by the way, they've done in most second home destinations around the world already, once they limit it to 30 days, guess what? Your rental income goes to zero. There's no one doing 30-day rentals. Like it's such a small part of the market. So if you bought a second home thinking, oh, I'm going to get all this, rental income, and all of a sudden they change that rule, which is happening, that's an issue. So our model is about owners using their property. It's not about rental income. There's great investment opportunities for that. Condo hotels are great for that. But we believe that owners want to be in a home and they want to be beautiful and they don't want renters. I mean, most people, when you actually ask them, do you really want to be renting your property? Most people don't want to. They're doing it because they have to pay the bills, but it's not their preference. But again, if you can buy something at 1/8 the cost and only pay 1/8 of the operating costs, you could probably afford it versus having to buy 100% of a home and pay 100% of the costs. And that's forcing people to do rentals, which they don't really want to be doing. So we believe that there is an opportunity for people to buy a home with other people that will help them coordinate, have professional management, have very affordable fees. For example, we only charge owners $149, that's US dollars, per month to do all this stuff. So it's very affordable and all the bills get paid and the accounting is done, the legal work. There's a lot of stuff that has to happen when you own second homes in foreign countries. It's not just like, oh, I buy it and forget about it. No, there's tax filings, there's legal, there's accounting, there's a whole layer and that you've got to deal with, and that can't be neglected. So it's somebody's got to handle that. So when you think about second homes, Maria, people are going, oh, now I have to go find a Mexican attorney, and then I have to find a Mexican accountant, and oh, then I have to open up a Mexican bank account. Like there's all these things that they haven't thought about. So again, we're trying to make that process easier and simpler for people.
Thank you very much, Roman. This has been super great time with you. Thank you for explaining all the fractional and all the program that you have. And I'll, looking forward to see you next time here in Mexico, whenever you want.
I just want to say thank you. Your team has been amazing. Like on some of the properties that we're acquiring, you've been more than full service, helping us, whether it's sourced interior designers, whether it's to help us find experts to do property inspections, referring lawyers and accountants. Your team has been incredible and very rare. I mean, I have to work with lots of realtors around the world, but I've never found group is keen capable as you, incredibly knowledgeable about every aspect of the business. But you have the resources, you have the team, again, from home inspections, legal, accounting, all the things that we're needing. So I'm incredibly grateful to you and your entire team. You guys are awesome. So I really appreciate our partnership. Thank you.